have made it to episode 20. Episode 20 is on diffusion models, which are the models behind all of this image generation technology that makes it possible to create realistic images, to be able to create fantastic line art designs, and to be able to create really weird stuff like a French horn on a horse. And if this is confusing to you, then go back to the previous episode because we talk more about the French horn on the horse there. So diffusion models really exploded onto the public scene in spring of 2022 with the release of DALL-E 2, where you could input a prompt and then the model would create this fantastic image of whatever your prompt was. It was a very exciting time. And what a lot of people don't remember is they actually didn't first release it to the public in terms of like an actual like dashboard that you could do on the web. They actually initially released it on Instagram. And so OpenAI had an Instagram and you could send them a prompt and then they would send you back a picture based on your prompt. So that was how it was initially released to the public. And so this is an image of a prompt that I sent in and then the image that I received back on April 6th of 2022. This is not new though. Like generative image models have been around for a while. These are human faces generated with a generative adversarial network or a GAN. We have image-to-image translation here where we have the input of a drawing and then it gives us an output from 2016. We have daytime to nighttime in 2016, text to image translation in 2017. We even had image in painting in 2016, and move over Apple with your like face emojis and your custom emojis. We actually had face to emoji back in 2016. These were all done using generative adversarial networks, GANs, which is a particular architecture of neural network, and it produced okay results. Enter diffusion models in 2020. Diffusion models are inspired by the process of diffusion, which is just the spreading of particles from a dense space to a less dense space. So think of putting a bit of food coloring into a cup of water. In the beginning, it's all going to be bunched up together, and then it's going to spread out and disperse over the water, and then this image of the cup will eventually just look like a slightly tinted blue water, rather than being all clumped up together. So the idea from an AI perspective is that you could diffuse images by adding noise iteratively. Then you could use this data to train a model to reverse this process going from noise to an image. So what is noise? So noise is similar to static on a TV screen. So static on a TV screen is a type of noise. So we're just kind of adding that static-y noise to our images. So just adding noise as shown in the image here. And the goal then of our model is then to determine the amount of noise in an image. So given this image, I want to say how much noise is in this image. And that's the goal of our model. So when we train a diffusion model, we take our training image, and remember, machine learning models, AI, only sees things in terms of numbers, so we have to turn that training image into a number, and then we add noise to that number, to that image, and through that process of adding noise, we then curate a data set where we have noise equals 0%, 16%, etc., all the way to noise equals 100%. And so we understand how much noise is in each image. So when we do inference or generation as a result, now our goal is to determine the amount of noise in an image in order to remove it. So we want to find out how much noise is in an image, and then we want to remove that noise. And so this is the process of our generation. And we're actually starting over here on the right side of my screen. You can see our image text conditioning. This is what we would call the prompt. This prompt is turned into a number with our encoder. And then here we're going to start with random noise. So diffusion models actually start the generation process with completely random noise. That's why you can get different results with the same prompt, because it's random noise that you start out with. And so at each point in this process, as it removes noise, we're going to look to the prompt and see how well it matches up with that prompt. So we're determining how much noise is in that image based on the prompt or the conditioning element that we give it. So we're going to reverse the diffusion process, remove the noise, and then we take the number, that's the output, and we decode it back into an image. And that is the generated image that you get when you use a generative AI image model. In order to do this well, many, many, many images are needed. So where do they come from? They come from the internet. How do developers find them? There are actually maps on the internet that show where image text pairs are. So for one example, largest example is the Lion 5 billion data set, and it's not really a data set. There's no data in the data set except it's just a map. So it tells you links of where there is images and captions. So these are just maps of image text pairs all over the internet. And then I'll leave you with this, which is the progress over 3 years from April 2022 to April 2025 using the same family of models. This is OpenAI's first attempt at this prompt, and then this in April 2025 was that attempt 3 years later. And so you can really see how the quality of the image generation has changed over time as we've learned new tricks in model architecture, as we've collected and curated more data, and really important on the curation part, because data from the internet is wild and chaotic and doesn't always match up with captions. So curation of lots of really good data is also really important in these image generation models. Thank you for joining me for this episode in the AI for People Who Hate Math series. This is an unscripted series that is inspired by my conversations with people who feel like they can't conceptually understand AI because it's just too much math. And it usually is. Most AI classes, tutorials, and videos are full of math. The AI classes that I teach as a professor have math on nearly every slide. I wanted to challenge this assumption that AI could only be conceptualized by people with strong math backgrounds. Especially as AI permeates our daily lives, I think it's important that everyone understands the technology, at least conceptually. Because without it, we're putting a lot of trust into systems we don't understand. Feel free to let me know in the comments if there are topics that you want to see covered. The initial launch is 20 episodes, and I am excited to see what you think.